welcome to another episode of our movie podcast. Once again, Michael. Okay, Michael, tell the audience what movies we're going to talk about for
Uh,
today's episode.
so first we're gonna talk about Taxi Driver because I finally came around to seeing it. Lost losing my Taxi Driver virginity, and quite honestly, it was a bit disappointing. So that's going to be an interesting discussion. Next, I also finally came around to watching Parasite, the very high acclaimed movie that basically everyone watched except me. And after that, we are going to talk more generally about our feelings towards Bong Joon-ho
Yeah, and his other films.
and his other films, most notably, probably Memories of
Memories
Murder.
of Murder, yeah.
Right.
Because that's the only film, aside from Parasite, Michael watched from Bong Joon-ho. I mean,
Oh
it's not
my
a big
God, you're
surprise.
exposing me.
But it's not a big surprise though, because I think Bong Joon-ho wasn't even that popular before he shot Parasite.
Yeah, that's true. But
I
he
mean,
did.
you could argue, okay, he had
Snowpiercer
like
was
Snowpiercer and
fairly
Okja
known.
were like
Yeah,
more westernized and
yeah,
probably more appealing to a general audience.
maybe,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, as opposed to his more Asian films, I'd say, like Memories of Murder.
Mm.
But let's start with Taxi Driver.
All right, all right.
So, you
Uh,
were disappointed.
yeah, let me paint you a picture. You're
All
with your
right.
friends, very close friends of yours from school.
Mm-hmm.
You are barbecuing, having a great time, and then it's like 1 a.m. You're seeing this movie, and like two of them fall asleep while watching it, and
Oh man.
and me and my other friend were like, "Wait, what's the point? I'm trying to get it I'm trying to get it, but it's
Okay.
still not clicking." And at the end, we were both like, "Wait, that was it? What?"
But you finished the movie, right? You
We
didn't
did
just
finish the
pause and
movie.
all right.
No, we didn't.
Okay.
We had some audio issues at first, but it just
Mm-hmm.
turned out that we forgot to plug, like, I don't know, there was some stupid technical difficulty that turned out to be very stupid. Yeah, but
So,
after that, it was fine. Yeah.
what part of the movie bothered you guys? I mean,
It
just
just, I think we both thought that the movie wasn't very narratively fulfilling.
all
I
right.
mean, I heard there were many comparisons. I remember that when Nightcrawler came out or when Joker came out, there were always comparisons to like Joker as like this. I mean, comparisons to like Taxi Driver,
Yeah, yeah.
nearly as like this benchmark of like a person like basically going somewhat insane.
Michael, I think you muted yourself. I can't
Oh,
hear
for
you.
real? And
Yeah. Never mind. Um just say your sentence again. I think you were muted.
um, so
But yeah, you said something about Benchmark and Nightcrawler and Joker.
yeah,
Um
I meant that like Taxi Driver is like this benchmark for movies that basically involve one character going somewhat insane.
mm, I can totally comprehend it because there's actually like something happening in Joker and Nightcrawler,
Yeah,
whereas in Taxi Driver, the plot feels very meager. Like, it
exactly,
really
exactly.
feels like you meander with Travis Bickle
Hmm.
through just a slice of his life, just a really tiny slice, and he doesn't really do much in the entire movie.
Yeah, I mean,
And
there's a certain charm to it. It was somewhat entertaining in like the first hour. I mean, it has this nice noir feeling
yeah,
with,
absolutely.
yeah,
It's so
like
beautiful. It's so beautiful.
it's a beautiful movie. I especially there's this shot where he just kind of is sitting there with his colleagues and he's looking at the glass of water and it just sizzles and zooms in there. That's You remember that scene?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do remember it. Um,
I don't
Even
know
though
that.
it's been like a year since I
Yeah.
watched the film, but yes, from a stylistic standpoint, speaking, I think Taxi Driver uh, is really
Yeah,
is
it's
really
good.
just it's really good. I mean, the soundtrack, saxophone in the background.
Yeah,
Um,
it has a really good noir feel. I did
yeah,
enjoy that. And even though it's a bit cheesy, or like not necessarily cheesy, but um I guess very much in the genre. So not very necessarily in
it's
other
weird
ways
because
unique, but
yeah,
yeah.
it's weird because when I uh, when I think back now, I feel like that Taxi Driver had the same kind of atmosphere, um, like Blade Runner, like cyberpunk films. Even though Taxi Driver is not even a part of the cyberpunk genre, but
Well,
you see there the way Scorsese and Co shot New York, and how they like accentuated the night scenes with those neon lights. All of these parts kind of elicited a very moody tone. I
yeah.
don't know how to put it, but
I mean, it makes sense because both of these movies do draw motifs and inspiration from
yeah,
the noir movies. I mean, Blade Runner, in essence, technically speaking, on
it's
a surface level, it's like
it's
a
a
detective
neo
story.
noir.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a
it's a
neo
neo noir.
noir detective story. With like this hard boiled detective.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Um,
yeah,
but if you look at Taxi Driver from a narrative standpoint, it's nothing but a detective story, because you
is
have
it?
this. I mean, all right, maybe in the last, or I don't know, when does he decide to basically rescue uh, Jodie Foster's character from that from that
Uh,
pedophile? I mean, maybe he then takes on a role of a detective like
I w-
character, like a peace bringer. But before that, he's just a army veteran who is just
yeah, he's
uh
like this directionist army
psychologically,
veteran.
yeah,
Yeah,
he's psychologically damaged and in no shape to be a detective in any
he,
shape or form.
yeah, he turns to like not a martyr, just like a person who
A
a
vigilante.
vigilante, exactly,
Yes,
right. And
but yeah,
I think it's
the
just very cut short. I mean,
yeah, absolutely, because the film kind of builds up to this moment,
yeah,
or the film creates tension with Bickle's violent nature and his brutal tendencies, but
yeah. I mean,
um,
he killed that one black guy in the supermarket that tried to rob, like the cashier, for example. That was
yeah,
a
right,
sign, definitely.
yeah, right. But other than that, perhaps you felt that the climax was kind of a letdown of
Yeah,
sorts.
yeah.
Um,
Just I don't know. It just we do see why he feels that way. He doesn't have many friends necessarily.
yeah,
He is like in this filthy. His job requires him to like meet very dark people, you
yeah,
know,
shady people,
shady
and
people.
yeah, it's
He
cool that you mention it because through his job, he kind of sees New York in different perspectives.
exactly, yeah,
For instance, okay, maybe New York isn't the best example here, but um, in other cities, the I'm sorry, in other cities, the class division is way more visually striking,
mm,
uh, and rich people simply reside in their rich territory without even knowing about the living conditions about the poor. but in New York, this is like a mixed bag, because the poor and the rich, they live in close proximity to each other, and Travis is the guy who kind of he
Yeah.
knows New York like his own. Do you say that like he knows New York like his own pocket? Like in German, you would say.
I'm not sure, but yeah, he's an observer. He
Yeah, he's an
observes
observer.
everything, and we basically look into his mind and see how he
Yeah,
thinks about it, and his
it's
turning
yeah.
point basically and everything.
And I think Taxi Driver is less of a as you said, it happens like it feels like it happens in his mind. It feels like it's like an odyssey through his way of thinking. It's very
Mm-hmm.
cerebral in that sense. Um,
Mm,
so naturally there isn't lots of things happening.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
maybe it's not in that sense. It's rather unconventional because um, I don't know about the movies in that time, but perhaps other directors um, tend to incorporate more action and stuff, and this could have kind of
Mm,
overshadowed this visual aspect of Taxi Driver, because I think a fitting word for Taxi Driver is visual, because when I first watched Taxi Driver, um, it had this effect on me because I really felt like I was digging inside someone's brain.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and when it comes to this, it was also like a little bit dreamlike. And this just harkens back to that mood Scorsese and co created with those endless neon lights in
Mm.
during the night in New York City
Yeah,
and
I
things
mean,
like that.
you do like time flows very strange in a movie
Yeah,
with how
yeah.
it's cut and the music choice. Um, to what you just said, I I think actually it's kind of not necessarily the opposite, but if I remember correctly, this is like a new Hollywood movie. Like there was this genre called New Hollywood, and this is one prominent example. And actually, uh, it is kind of this cliche that nothing much happens, as far as I understand, in those films. But I'm not much
So
sure. Yeah.
okay, because so you would say that Taxi Driver belongs to Taxi Driver belongs to a more of a more of an art house movement that is called New Hollywood, because
Yeah, it was that basically.
I
Yeah.
believe I believe that a Taxi Driver wasn't necessarily a Hollywood movie per se.
Yeah.
First off, because Scorsese didn't really shoot many films prior to Taxi Driver. It's actually a pretty big feat if you look at it this way, because Scorsese shot his first feature film, Mean Streets, in 1973, and he
Hmm.
followed it up with, I think, Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore in 1974, and then came Taxi Driver, and Taxi Driver is now considered a cult classic. Uh,
Yeah. I mean, it is impressive. Yeah.
yeah, but as as with every cult classic, uh, the film was perceived very negatively.
Okay.
I
Yeah. I
mean,
mean,
perhaps it's just perhaps the film was just way ahead of its time. I know that sounds cheesy, but it kind of is true for many films. Blade Runner was perceived negatively as well, but
hmm. Or Fight Club.
now it's like or Fight Club, yeah, for instance.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not sure how to like
But you don't,
historically
yeah.
put it in there, like what the
But
context and all of it is.
Taxi Driver is really not a film to watch at 1 a.m. It's very
Maybe not.
sleepy. The film is,
Yeah.
yeah, is in
I
and
mean,
of itself very sleepy.
the ending is also kind of dreamlike. Like it's kind of ambiguous if he
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
survives
yeah,
that shootout or if it's all just in his brain because it seems rather it's it's morbid, you know, like the
Mm-hmm.
girl he basically had a crush on at the beginning of the movie
Yeah.
also admired him, even though what he did was essentially just acting on his violent and psychotic tendencies and warped morals.
Do you think she admired him? I think she more so, um, kind
Well,
of
he
questioned his morals because I think
yeah, at the beginning she questioned his morals, like
there's one memorable quote, that says, um, something like, "You're a walking contradiction" or something like this when they were in the cafe. Um,
maybe, I'm not
but I think,
sure, something
um,
along the lines could be the
yeah,
case. I don't know.
Travis Bickle is like, such a intricate character. He's very enigmatic, and you
Hmm.
can't possibly decipher him in just, how long was this movie, in 2 hours maybe. And
Yeah.
what made him so appealing was his enigmatic nature, probably. And
Yeah. Mm. I mean, okay, Robert De Niro did play him very well, and I did enjoy the performance.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Um,
Uh, I don't know if I would say his character is very consistent, as in very logically consistent, but he does
he
have something
isn't.
to him. Yeah, I mean, ju- I mean, not mentioning the bit where he's basically going psychotic, but yeah.
But yeah, um, but what makes him inconsistent? Is it the way he's thinking? Because
I
let's
don't
make
know. I think both me and my friend were like, okay, why is he doing this? Sometimes his actions felt a bit unmotivated, maybe.
yeah, he just wants to like, purge the shady streets of New York because he cannot stand the filth, um,
Yeah,
and
but
this
like,
motivation, like this goal, probably stems from, his time in the war. Maybe he's, but
mm,
that's a, you see, that's a contradiction because when you're, in war, you see much more filthier things than the
oh,
things he sees in New York, um, and you get hardened. So
mm, mm,
actually, New York compared to war is like, a paradise in that sense.
I
I
don't know
mean,
if I would put it that way. It's just like he is a war veteran, and he came with a bit of a trauma, probably.
yeah,
He was scarred from it, and then he is put into like this world which was his home, is his home, and he just doesn't kind of fit in, or it's hard for him to like make a living for himself and really get close friends, and that's why he gets increasingly frustrated about it.
yeah, and
Yeah.
the film never really states his psychological,
Yeah, it doesn't comment on any.
illness.
Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah,
comment on its mental illness. It's very ambiguous in that sense, and
yeah,
which is also good because then we don't like have a false perception of any mental illness out there.
yes,
Yeah, I can respect
and
that.
when it comes to this, the film handles exposition very well because it can kind of convey, uh, coarsely what Travis Bickle, is up to, what he's suffering, without actually really commenting on it. And if I recall correctly, the film doesn't have lots of dialogue. Uh,
I mean, there's a lot of narration, but that's kind of, I guess, I mean, it is somewhat inspired by noir, so that makes sense.
yeah, okay,
But
that's
yeah,
just then a stylistic choice.
yeah. But I wouldn't say it wasn't a dialogue heavy. It wasn't. I wouldn't say it is a dialogue heavy film, but it does have a lot of dialogue in it because
Yeah,
I mean, it's we are just following this character and his interactions with others mostly. So I mean, yeah, there were also very many shots of, like how we mentioned, the nightlife in New York and how he views everything and experiences like the filth out there, to put it not so politely. Yeah,
So what would you rate this film?
I think I gave it like a 3.0 out of 5 on Letterboxd.
That's fine though.
Yeah, it's fine. I really was just more disappointed than actually not. I didn't necessarily not enjoy the movie. It was just that I was disappointed because I did went with higher expectations,
Yeah.
and it does make you feel a bit weird if like two of your friends fall asleep while watching the movie, and you're like, oh, okay. When you're the one
But you
who
made it
brought,
through.
yeah, I made it through, but like I was the one who brought it in, and then it's like, okay, like maybe I and the other friend who stayed awake and somewhat enjoyed it, though we both found it more frustrating. Yeah.
But yeah, at least you've seen it now because Taxi Driver is like one of those films that w- people like us just have to see.
Yeah, I mean that's true. It's also like it is kind of, as I said, a benchmark, or like this movie that you can that you should know, and if somebody talks about it, you should know what they mean when they compare
Yeah.
other movies to Taxi Driver. I also would say you should probably watch it even just for the experience, because it does have great moments in it. I do enjoy the soundtrack a lot. Yeah.
Oh, does it use like songs from the period, like from the
Um,
70s?
no, I just meant like the noir vibe that was
The
conveyed.
sax. You mean the
Yeah.
sax?
Not
Alright,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah. The sex especially. I mean,
I
the
mean, the
whole atmosphere
sax.
was pretty well done.
I
Just
think
I
there's some.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Finish your sentence.
Just as I said, it wasn't narratively very satisfying. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's fine though.
Mm.
But I just want to add something to the soundtrack.
Okay, yeah.
I think the sax. You said that you find the sax a little bit cheesy, which I can understand. But I
Hmm.
think the sax kind of indicates that uh, the film is kind of, I don't know, self-aware maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's an
It's
obvious homage to that
yeah,
era
yeah,
of film. And it's also a very nice leitmotif. I mean, it plays a whole lot during the
yeah.
movie.
It's a beautiful leitmotif, and Joker is like I wouldn't say a direct copy of Taxi Driver,
Yeah, I mean, I
but
haven't
like
seen, so I can't comment on that. I still
yeah,
have to see it.
but yeah, you definitely have to see it, and we definitely have to talk about it.
Yeah, especially
But
when our next movie
because
is Parasite.
yeah,
Yeah.
um, I think Joker will have you more satisfied with the narrative.
Yeah.
And in Joker, there's also a beautiful leitmotif um, that is played with a cello, and
Oh,
the
nice.
composer, the composer actually won an Academy Award for her score.
Mm.
The score is very visceral. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not gonna say anything more. You just have to really watch the film. I
Yeah.
think you'll like it. You'll like it, but
Yeah, I think I do enjoy movies of that caliber. I did
yeah,
enjoy Nightcrawler a lot. Like, it was great. But yeah, I don't know. Something with Taxi Driver just doesn't click with me. But I
all
will
right,
see Joker, yeah.
all right.
Don't worry.
Should we move on to Parasite?
Yeah, sure.
So finally, man,
Yeah.
finally,
Where to begin?
where to begin? Let's begin with
I mean, okay, one thing.
where did you watch Parasite?
I watched it on Netflix with a friend of mine. I
On
mean,
Netflix? You mean Amazon, right?
oh, Amazon.
Prime.
Yeah, Amazon. I
All
think
right.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, both of these. So sometimes I just
Hmm.
forget which one was which. Yeah. Oh man, where to begin? Uh,
Okay, just maybe I'll give you the chance to kind of
Unload.
just unload your first impression,
Yeah.
your
Okay.
emotions, your feelings.
I mean, it was everything I wanted. It was great. Okay. I like postponed this film for so long. I've heard so many great things about it, and yet it met all of these things. It didn't. It did live up.
Hmm.
It's great. When you do you have that feeling sometimes when everybody like recommends that movie and says it's great, and you're like, okay, it's great, it's great. Okay, I
I'm
will
gonna
watch it.
watch it.
I'm gonna watch
Yeah,
it. But
eventually.
but you kind of in your head you think, okay, I will probably enjoy it. So not very interesting. It's not very interesting to just be like, okay, it's great. Yeah,
Mm,
and then you kind of postpone it in your head. But I'm so glad I finally watched it because it is probably retrospectively speaking my favorite film of the last year.
wow. Okay.
Yeah, I really really liked it. It was it was genre bending. It has great commentary, a great critique of capitalism, especially of like a great in general like this theme of class and this disillusionment of the family of the Kim family. It was meticulously filmed. I enjoyed every aspect of that. The actors were great, and just it's a smart story. It if it was made like maybe if it was like a Western typical movie or like a lower movie, not to you know insult anybody, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, then like the rich family, for example, maybe they would be more evil, and the poor family would be, well, presented as more friendlier people. But no, this movie
It's kind
presents
of
them.
neutral. It's
Yeah,
kind
it's
of
neutral.
neutral in its
Both
stance.
both sides are understandable. Like
Yeah.
this rich family, they live in this kind of gated community. They are not, they're not they're completely oblivious to what a normal life is and how other people around them might have less than them, and they're just still nice people. They have all this wealth, and despite that, they are mostly very nice. The mother is a good mother to her children,
Yeah.
things like that. Like this makes that also makes like the critique of the movie so much more powerful because it's actually not necessarily about the individual actions. It's more really about, okay, these are the rich guys and those are the problems that are completely independent of how much of a good person they are. Like even the
Yeah.
slice
It
that
kind
the
of.
power structure itself is the problem, and it shows, I think. And that's
It also.
also
It
what I
also.
liked. Yeah.
It also separates your status from your personality a lot.
I mean,
I mean.
it is intertwined with their personality.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that it's not like, okay, the rich guys have to be evil, the poor guys are
Mm-hmm.
always good. No, we actually see how like the poor people are like, you know, not very. There's no solidarity,
Yeah. And
between
and
them.
that's how you kind of create interesting characters by I don't know by creating contradictions because like
I wouldn't
um
call it a contradiction. I mean, it makes perfect sense, right?
no
In the
no if
system,
you yeah yeah
in the
yeah sure.
system, yeah, in the system, if you're poor, I can't really fault them for like scamming this rich family. It's completely
Yeah.
understandable. And
Mhm.
and if for example, like in the turning point, the other lady, the former house lady comes, we do get scared, and we are then like status wise above her, and we then also like how should I put it? I mean, in a movie, the mother decides to like wants to call the cops. She doesn't want to actually help her, but it's
Yeah.
understandable, kind of. And you
I
can't,
I
but
don't
still,
think
they're
that's
like,
understandable. I think this just goes to show that even within the lower class, there is turmoil.
yeah,
There
but
are,
that's how they have to be. You have to be cunning to actually get these positions, right? You have to
yeah.
sabotage each other to get to that stance, and it shows. You have to scam your way up, kinda.
But so you mean that in order to survive,
I
you
mean,
cannot show solidarity or
no,
uh,
it's I just say it's a this it's kind of a symptom of like this the poor people not I mean
so
I'm not saying that poor people are bad.
you mean survival of the fittest essentially.
Kind of. I mean
Yeah.
there we see the Kim family. They're at a fairly low point, you know? Both of their
Yeah.
both the dad and the mom, they don't have jobs. Um yeah, they're living in poverty and
And
you're just
that's
rooting for
when
them when they are actually scamming them, you know?
yeah, and that's when the film kind of diminishes, or a Western film would rather make us empathize with the poor family. But honestly, I
Yeah.
didn't really empathize with with the Kims,
Oh, you
because
didn't? I I I, I
the
think for me, I empathized with everyone. Everyone was somewhat understandable, you know?
yeah, but understanding someone doesn't mean you directly empathize with them.
Fair, yeah,
Um,
that's a fair argument.
on an emotional level, uh, I couldn't really identify myself with them because, yeah, sure, they have to be cunning. They have to show a certain acumen to basically uh, escape their current
Hmm.
situation. But I mean, when they meet the house lady and discover that there's a basement where the husband
Yeah.
of the house
Oh,
lady
can we just
dwelt
appreciate
in,
what great metaphor it is? Like with the vertical height, how like
dude,
the how like the rich people's house is like in the hills, and then this
yeah, oh
basement
my
is
god.
way below that, and then we have like the Kim family, and theirs is just like in the lower part of the city, where then the rain just floods their apartment.
It's
So
incredible.
yeah,
Like the cinematography too just
s-
complements the narrative and everything.
yeah,
Everything complements
the
one another.
symbolism, the motifs that are
Yeah.
developed with this, with how it's shot, it's great. God. uh,
Um.
where did we left off?
Wait. Yeah. I just wanted to say that the conflict in the basement of the rich family's house
Yeah,
could have been easily resolved. Like they could have converged to a consensus where both families
yeah, but they both decide then to like sabotage each other. You know?
yeah,
Yeah.
sort of. It's
If
so
like if one has the upper hand, they
yeah,
immediately act on that. You know?
it's so ironic. Yeah, I just wanted to add to that point
uh,
because
it also
when
kind of plays to the theme of
the other
who's the
three
fair
kind
side.
of tumble down the stairs
What?
and the
I
house,
right, right.
yeah, and the house lady sees them,
Yeah.
she quickly like kind of switches her demeanor.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. Like first she was like pleading and
yeah,
calling her kind of, I mean, something along the lines of sister, you know. And then when
yeah,
the mother does the same thing, she's like, "Don't
like
call me
shut up,
sister, you
yeah,
filthy
shut up, and
bitch."
yeah, it's so
Oh,
great. It's
it,
so great.
it's such a great movie. It's just a very. I mean, it. What I also appreciate about it is like, it is on a surface level. I mean, okay, on a metaphorical level, it's a very good story. Like the message of it, how it's presented, and everything. But on a surface level, it also works really well. It's
Yeah,
believable. It's very
it's
believable.
yeah, it's very credible, and
Yeah,
it's first of all, it's super entertaining
it is indeed. Like
because yes, it's
how
as you
much I
said, it's
laughed. God damn.
yeah, it's it's as you said, it's genre bending because you
Yeah,
cannot fit that movie in any genre. It's part-time thriller,
yeah.
part-time comedy,
Part-time
black
horror.
comedy, horror. Yeah,
Yeah,
and the horror elements they're effective.
they're really effective. God damn, like this counterpoint between like this rich family just enjoying their lives,
Mm-hmm.
and then just like a parasite, this the man just the the former house lady's husband, how he
Yeah,
just basically goes full rampage.
yeah.
Oh,
From there on, this film just becomes like a slasher.
yeah, it
Um,
does. And
I
when
just had to
oh
I
when
just had to open the Wikipedia page so that we can basically talk about the characters in more detail.
yeah. Oh, I actually want to mention something. Like I noticed that watching an analysis, or not
Yeah,
necessarily me, but I read in the comments a very interesting observation. Um, so like in the movie during the midpoint, um, the son who we are mostly following of the poor family comments
yeah,
about her sister that she acts like one of these rich people,
yeah,
as
exactly.
like she watches TV while she's bathing, and of the people in the family, she's the only one who died as well.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, as if I mean,
I didn't think of it.
yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think of
I
it.
was really surprised to think about that as well. But I think it just further um,
Further accentuates that there's no escape from your current status.
exactly like this movie is basically a
It's
disillusionment, or
hopeless.
yeah, it's wholesome.
Yeah,
It's like a
it's
disillusionment from what was the American dream,
yeah.
or what is in Korean sense.
I mean, essentially, the Kim family undergoes a disillusionment arc.
Exactly, yeah.
They think they think being rich is like the highest goal in one's life, and they do kind of they
Well,
were on the right path before
mm,
everything went to shit. Um,
I think I would go even farther. Just the fact that they were, trying to get that from rags to riches thing, trying to get social mobility, and then they just stay there in that same class. It's heartbreaking how they
yeah,
fail.
and
And
that
that
they're so oblivious to the fact that their pursuit of this glorious goal kind of acts adversely, and this is so
well, I mean,
striking during the rain scene where the Kim family escape. Basically, get down to their basement once again, and they
yeah,
find the basement flooded.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's another great just like counterpoint, between like the
you're
rich
so
family.
blinded. Yeah, you're so blinded by the fact that the thing you're pursuing actually just uh makes your life worse.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I think. This is where I think the critique comes in, like the critique of the system is what how I would put it. Like, I mean, that's what it is, right? It's a critique on capitalism and who is the real parasite here. Like, of course, at first we think like the Kim family is the parasite because they're obviously like infiltrating this rich family's home and all just pretending to be someone they're not. But later, like, I mean, we see that the Kim family, they're not stupid. They have talents. They're like the father, he's actually a very good driver.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
the daughter, she's actually very good at art. She by, you know, for example, faking the documents and everything.
Yeah,
She acts the
uh,
role perfectly. But so they're not stupid people, right? And they could easily make it just as far, but they don't have like the necessary necessary things. And in the
yeah,
system, they're kind of working for these people who are who who wouldn't who are dependent on them, right? Like the Park family when like they you know uh when they oh god, like the house lady when they let her leave, right? Uh
Yeah, the husband comments on the inability of her wife to do anything related to housework.
yeah,
Yeah,
they're dependent on them, and for much less money, the poor people are kind of doing it. So it's like the rich people are also somewhat of a parasite in that respect, you know? Like,
yeah, it's like a reciprocal behavior in that sense. Man,
yeah,
that's yeah.
yeah. Oh man.
Oh wow. Um,
I mean, talking about symbolism, the stone.
the stone kind of acts like a beacon of hope, but at
Yeah,
the
like,
same time,
I,
it's it's your demise at last
yeah, I mean,
because
it's okay. It's a great motif, and how it plays in the story, like how the how the son gets like hit in the head with
oh
it
my
to get subconscious.
dude,
It was like, oh, okay, yeah,
honestly, that moment
yeah.
was, oh my god, that moment was grotesque.
It was really
uh,
grotesque.
yeah, Bong Joon-ho shot this moment with a static cam, and you just see how the man takes the stone and throws it at his head,
Yeah.
at his head, and
So okay, in the
oh my
first
god, and he
at the
just
first time you
the
don't
camera,
see how he
yeah,
actually throws it on him, but on the
but the
second,
second
oh
time,
yeah,
and the camera just lingers
yeah,
on the character.
it's really
It never
cold.
shies away. It never
Yeah,
shies away.
it kind of reminds me. I don't know. I made that comparison after watching the movie, but my friend didn't see it. But it kind of reminds me a bit of Fincher, a bit, like with
Um,
sometimes how cold the shots are, and just yeah, lingering,
you mean
as
the
if it's there's
camera?
yeah, as if
How cold blooded the camera is?
no, as
How?
in it's just it doesn't feel like human. Like sometimes with
Mm,
shake cam or something, you're supposed to like feel you're in that moment, but with that it's just like okay, yeah, it's just a static shot as you said, and yeah,
and
I
did
don't
you
know.
realize that, of course, the stone takes the shape of a mountain, and a
Mm-hmm.
mountain is a very apt symbolism as well, because first off, uh, you have to like walk up the mountain,
Mm-hmm.
and once you reach the peak, you have to walk down again. And
Mm.
that's kind of the progression of the Kim family,
Yeah, it is.
uh,
I mean,
up to the midpoint.
yeah, up to the midpoint. I mean, the first half is basically like their potential rise in their social status, and the second
Hmm.
part is just kind of completely obliterating that, right? Obliterating
Yeah,
all hope. That's also nice with like how the basement is placed. It's like this half basement, right? So they actually have a bit of
yeah.
sunlight. It's like that's like the hope to like the higher state of living, because right now they're technically living in a basement, which is kind of symbolizing like their poverty and everything and their low status, but they have
But it's
those
not,
windows of
hope
hope.
is not all lost,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, to that point, the set design was so meticulous as well. I
Yeah.
mean, they built that house
You know,
just for the film.
yeah.
It's
I
insane.
it's really insane. It looks gorgeous.
And the house, the rich people's house, is like a character on its own. I feel like, because when we're in the house, the camera moves like swiftly through the rooms,
Yeah,
and
yeah. That's that's where I think that's those were the points where it reminded me of Fincher. Because yeah, it's
oh yeah,
like these just very stylish moves that are so pristine and meticulous, showing this house. It's
yeah.
great. It's also a very good way to show your prep, and it's awesome. Um, But also, have did you know that they actually built like the whole streets of where the poor people live, just so they could like pour that much rain on it?
Oh yeah, I think I've read it somewhere. That's incredible as well.
Yeah, it just really shows that Bong Joon-ho really cares. And I left the movie with a big smile on my face. Oh yeah.
Um, dude, yeah, the movies. I don't know. It's hard to beat this one. It's by the way, it's on I think on rank one of Letterboxd top 250 narrative films.
Oh, okay.
It kind of dethroned The Godfather
Damn.
after I don't know 3, 4, 5 years.
Mm.
It's incredible.
It really is. Okay, on a side note,
Yeah,
comparing Letterboxd to IMDb, it's I don't know. It's just
I mean,
how
I think
how IMDb's top rated movie is like Shawshank Redemption kind of really tells what people are on IMDb versus what people are on Letterboxd, or why they would watch that movie and why the
I
others
mean
would.
we haven't seen Shawshank yet, so we
I
can
mean, yeah,
actually
technically,
maybe Shawshank will blow our minds.
but I
Maybe
don't know.
Shawshank will change our lives,
I
but
I doubt
um,
it.
yeah, me too. The thing with Letterboxd is it's more niche,
Yeah, it's more niche,
and
and
only people find Letterboxd if they are kind of more into cinema,
mm-hmm.
because IMDb is much more.
Yeah, it's like the
It's
public.
out there. Yeah, it's out there. Everyone can. Sure, you in Letterboxd you can comment and rate a film without having watched it as well.
Mm.
But I feel like it's much more easier in IMDb,
Yeah, I mean,
and
ju-
who nobody uses IMDb to kind of look up scores or compare certain movies.
that's
People use
true.
IMDb. People use IMDb to maybe um,
As a
inform
database, right?
themselves. Yeah,
Yeah,
as a database, like as the name implies,
exactly.
to inform themselves about the career of actors or
Or
something.
trivia in a
Yeah,
movie, behind the scenes shots. Yeah, yeah. I just find it very interesting how like the rating, or like what is considered the best movie on Letterboxd versus what is considered the best movie on IMDb. I don't know.
maybe in that sense, IMDb is kind of outdated.
Maybe I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, many people still use it. I guess not me, but yeah. Okay, going back to Parasite.
To Parasite.
Yeah, I
You're like a big music fan, and you do music on your own as well. So how did you like the score? Because I don't think that the score was that I don't know how to put it, significant or striking, as opposed to like the cinematography that basically emphasizes um, this theme of class and um,
mm, yeah. I
of
mean,
poor versus rich.
I can't really comment on that much either because really, I can say it was really fitting in the movie, so I didn't notice it that
Hmm.
blaringly. But
So
yeah,
it
even
blends
as a music,
perfectly. Yeah.
putting me on the spot here, right? But yeah, I didn't notice it as much. I did enjoy the score though, but yeah, I don't think it was that big of an aspect as well. And the movie soundtrack, where like this horror scene, like when they go down the basement,
Hmm.
it was also very typical with like the strings and everything, like the typical, high strings, dissonant sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't have much to comment on it. The score particularly. I will probably watch this a second time. Maybe I pick something up.
Yeah, it's definitely worth watching a second time.
Hmm.
Um,
I mean, I can say it's kind of driving when it it's like they're when we were like following the family, how they basically plan out how to like infiltrate the rich people's family. Yeah.
Yeah, about that part, I think it's so masterfully done. How they basically compressed the infiltration scene, quote unquote infiltration scene,
Mm-hmm.
in just about, I don't know, 30 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Because once the boy is hired as the English tutor,
Yeah.
the girl follows up quickly, then
Mm-hmm.
the dad, and then the mom, and then
Mm-hmm.
everything is set up.
Yeah.
Like, and nothing feels rushed.
It
Nothing
doesn't.
feels
Yeah.
rushed. Everything feels so credible, and that's just an. I don't know if Parasite received any editing accolades, but I think Parasite's editing is superb.
It is
It's so good.
superb. Yeah.
Cuts are so well placed, and scenes have such a coherency, even though they're like from a time perspective, they're like completely separated,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just mind-boggling how every component of this film just works.
Mm.
And the cinematography, as we said before, wow.
Yeah. Maybe talking about another simple, the smell.
Oh my god, yes.
Yeah.
Um
Like this is basically like the opposing thing to the stone, right? Like it is a
this
constant reminder of that they are of the lower status,
Yeah,
right?
because um you can easily like get rid of a stone by throwing it away, but your smell, um you can't simply get rid of that.
Yeah, it's like
It kind of it's a part of you. It's
yeah.
a part of yourself,
Mhm.
and
No matter how much you change yourself, how much you try to fit in, the
yeah.
smell, it's telling, and it's a really beautiful metaphor.
Would you say that this metaphor kind of gets overplayed a little bit, because the smell is like mentioned throughout the film multiple times,
I,
and
I mean,
I
I
feel like Bong Joon-ho kind of exaggerated with this symbol a little bit to kind of, well, tell the audience, hey, the smell, it's a symbol, think about it a little bit more. I think he could have done it more subtler,
okay.
but maybe I'm in the minority here.
Mm. Yeah,
But
I don't know.
what
Uh,
what's so funny is there's another aspect about the smell,
mhm.
and something, I think it was the father of the rich family. He
Mhm.
said that the smell, it reminds me of the subway. People
Yeah,
that take the subway have the same smell as well, and you guessed it, the subway is beneath the ground,
yeah.
beneath the surface.
Mhm.
It's lower,
Mhm.
and it's just another way of saying, yeah, people who are not only physically but here physically lower, kind of directly corresponds to their uh, financial status. Being
Yeah.
physically lower corresponds to their financial
Mm.
status,
Yeah.
and
I
but
wouldn't. Still, I wouldn't say it's. You said you.
hence the rich people kind of always elevate themselves. They
Mhm.
they they vicariously always separate themselves from the poor.
But they don't do it intentionally, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
They're unaware of this.
Mhm.
So, in that way, um, they're not villainous.
Yeah. That's the good thing about this movie.
Yeah,
The rich people aren't villains. They're just people living in this flawed system, as
yeah.
everyone
For
else.
your best tip for your next movie, if you want to design a good villain, don't make him villainous. Just make him oblivious to the fact that he is indeed a villain.
Mm. Yeah. Maybe. Okay. Who is the villain then? in this movie.
Yeah, people would say there is no villain. But as of maybe the villain doesn't manifest as some physical entity. It's
Mhm.
more like the dream itself. It's
Yeah,
more like the dream because it's really the antithesis to the thesis. You know, the thesis is with cunning. If you work hard and with cunning, you can perhaps reach the top.
yeah, basically American
Like,
Dream.
yeah,
Yeah,
and the antithesis to that, or the antagonistic force, is, uh, I think, the reality. No, you can't.
yeah, yeah,
uh,
exactly. Like social mobility doesn't exist.
yeah, it
Yeah,
doesn't exist. No matter how clever you
yeah.
are.
There's always something distinguishing you from others.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's where I want to come back with the smell because you said that it was overplayed. I mean, to a certain extent, I can see that it is a bit exaggerated. It does still make sense in a movie because, well, if somebody smells and you're the chauffeur, or then it will kind of get annoying to, well, your customer, aka the father.
yeah.
And but I mean, it served its purpose very nicely because I mean that's essentially the motivation for like the father. What is his name? You
Kim
know,
Take, Ki Take,
yeah, I
was that
guess,
his name?
I guess, yeah, that's his name. Oh wait, the father of the poor family.
Yeah,
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 I mean that's like the last straw, right, for him, where he just kills the guy,
yeah.
right?
Like,
Because he was reminded again, like the smell is a reminder for him that he will not be them. He will not get the same social status
yeah,
ever.
he'll never fit in. He'll
Yeah,
never fit in.
and he's constantly reminded by this, uh, unintentionally by the father of the rich family, right? And he then kills him basically because he's the manifestation of, or like the constant reminder that he won't fit in, that he won't
Wow, yeah.
rela- will that he will never reach that point. And that's why I think the smell is, even if it's a bit exaggerated, it works really well.
So you mean that the father is kind of a personal embodiment, a physical embodiment of the villain, of the antagonist in that sense.
Well, I mean,
But
he's embodying it a bit, right? Like, I mean, the whole
yes,
family of the rich people, except maybe the daughter, I think, comments
but
on the
it's
smell, right? Like
yeah,
in the
but it
midpoint, the little small boy, he smells like the family, the father and the mother,
yeah,
and he
it's super funny. Yeah,
he says, yeah, they're smelling basically the same, and it's already kind of foreshadowing that.
but I think it goes far beyond just the smelling, uh, just the
Yeah,
realization
I
that they
mean,
smell the same.
yeah, it's.
Um,
I mean, of course, it's also adds tension because, well,
yeah,
it's not the Park family doesn't know that they are that basically all the people who are working for them are, well, a family and scammers. Yeah. So yeah, of course, it also adds suspense, I guess. Too.
I find it a little bit brash, the decision of the poor father
Hmm.
to kill the rich father.
I think it was
Our
really well
terminology,
motivated, though,
uh,
right? Like you,
our
that yeah,
yeah. I just wanted to say that our terminology here is really coarse. Like, we're calling the characters uh, poor father, rich father.
I mean, maybe it goes with the fact that we it's a foreign film and we are
It's a
not
foreign
South
film, and
Koreans.
yeah, and the cast is huge.
Yeah.
It's
Okay,
hard
I
to
mean,
keep track
essentially
of the
there
names.
are 10 characters, right? So like there's the Kim family, then there's the Park family, and then we have like the former house lady with his husband. Her
Yeah, fair
husband.
enough. But
Yeah,
10 is still a great number.
it is, especially for a mathematician like
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
uh, Wait. Yeah. Just um to that point again. I just found it brash because the father never showed any violent tendencies, and what does he gain by killing the rich father? Nothing. It just exacerbates his situation.
Yeah, I mean, he acted on kind of instinct, right?
Oh my god, yeah, and yes, his way of acting just, oh my god. Dude, do you remember how in the um after the flood they
Yeah.
find themselves in this
Yeah, he has no plan.
he has no plan, yeah.
Yeah.
That kind of means he's sort of um erratic
Mm.
in his behavior, and that kind of uh reasons he's killing, his act of killing in the climax.
Uh,
That's actually perfect. Dude,
yeah.
that's actually perfect.
I, ca- I think your interpretation is valid, but I see it really as like this thing with the um how he's constantly reminded that he is of lower stance. Because I mean,
But
in every scene we see where like he is in every scene we see him in where there's some comment on smell, he always like looks back, he smells his own t-shirt or something. For example, when
Mhm.
they are hiding behind the under the table and everything. It's just this constant reminder, right? And
Yeah, and
it's like a
that's
ticking
kind of
clock. It's a ticking bomb, right?
yeah,
It was
and
to
it's
happen. It was destined to happen, kind of.
yeah, yeah, and yeah. Okay, from an emotional standpoint, I can comprehend it as well
Hmm.
because it's pretty humiliating
I
if
mean,
somebody constantly comments on your smell without them actually knowing or without them actually being aware of it.
yeah. I mean, they do know he smells, but they are not thinking it would mean so much to him, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And but talking about violent tendencies, I mean, the mother of the Kim family basically
Yeah,
like murders the former house lady, right? By kicking her down the stairs.
but it's,
I mean, of
yeah,
course, she
but
acted in the moment to prevent that. Well, they're busted.
but you know what? The mother of the Kilm family was, from the moment the film started, was built to be a kind of strong woman, lady character, a
Yeah.
strong. I wouldn't necessarily say independent, but a strong and kind of stoic character almost, because first of all, her background, Bong Joon Ho um just throws a quick shot into the mix in the beginning, where we see her medal
Hmm. Yeah, 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 I
from her
remember that.
previous sport activities,
I mean, this also,
and that
I think this also again shows that those people they had, they were
yeah,
capable, but they just didn't
they
have
were
the
capable.
resources.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and being a professional sportler doesn't pay very well, I believe.
yeah, but
So
it requires money, right? So she probably just couldn't continue with her career. Yeah.
did I just say sportler? Is that even a word in English?
I don't think so. Yeah. Um,
Uh,
whatever.
but
Move on.
athlete,
Moving on.
athlete, athlete, athlete. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, the film kind of perfectly demonstrates setup and payoff. Um,
Yes.
and
I mean, all the symbols paid off very nicely that we
yeah,
mentioned.
it sure
That's
does. Yes.
yeah.
Um, I another point. The father and the I think it was the rich father.
Hmm.
He constantly um described the act of not crossing a line.
Yes.
That was interesting as well.
Yeah, it is.
But
I mean, it's well, if you're with a bit of interpretation, it's essentially saying, okay, I want you to stay in this. I want to stay in a power position, right? I want you to know that who you are in the structure. You are
yeah,
lower.
exactly.
You are the person working for me,
Yeah,
right?
you do not belong in my territory.
Yeah, you're
And
not of the same caliber as I am.
and that's so interesting because in that sense, the cinematography
Mm-hmm.
basically visually demonstrates this symbol, because there are many shots. I wish I can show it to you,
Okay.
but there are many shots that kind of uses the glass windows of the mansion of the rich family's house
Mm-hmm.
to separate poor and rich. Maybe
Mm.
you can recall the scene where, in the beginning, where the house lady invites the poor boy in, and she goes to wake up the rich mother.
Oh, right. Yeah, they were separated. Yeah.
Yeah, and Bong Joon-ho constantly uses this visual symbol. So a narrative symbol manifests as a visual symbol,
Mm-hmm.
and this symbol is basically used throughout the film, and it's so subtle. It's so subtle, um, as opposed to like incorporating it into the dialogue.
Mm.
So I'm not a big fan of the father saying the whole time that
Yeah,
they should not cross the line, because I mean that's the whole theme of the movie, kind of, and it's just basically uh, imparted to us verbally, and I'm not a fan of it, to be honest. So
I mean it.
the film could have been a little more subtler when it comes to like symbolism and how to convey them to the audience.
Okay, yeah, it's not a very subtle movie. That's true. I mean,
Yeah,
like the thing with the stairs and everything. It's not a very subtle metaphor with smell, of course. But I think just though they are obvious, they are very well done, and that's why this movie works so
yeah.
well. You know. And going back to like him always saying that with the crossing the line, he said that the smell crossed the line, which is also kind of interesting because well that's the one thing that kind of still um you know distinguishes him from like the other uh,
Mm-hmm.
distinguishes like the Kim family from the others, right? That's the one thing they couldn't get rid of themselves, the one thing they couldn't hide about of their well uh poor life at the moment, right?
Yeah, so it's kind of an extension of themselves,
Yeah.
and that crosses the line.
Yeah, I mean,
Because
yeah, I mean in every
they did indeed cross the line by invading their family.
yeah.
Technically, yes, but it just goes undetected, right?
Hmm.
But the smell is the only thing that is detected, and that, as we said, you can't get rid of.
Hmm. Yeah. And that's why I still think, even if it's a bit on the nose, no pun intended, there, it still works very well.
Okay, we end the
Yeah.
podcast here. No, I'm joking.
Thanks for watching. Yeah. Oh, another thing, like the lighting, also.
Oh my god, yes,
Yeah.
yes. The lighting um is so natural, it's so intuitive, but it's put to great effect. It's just wow.
I mean, you can also see it like in the movie, like whenever we are in the rich family's house and everything. It's
Everything is clear.
yeah, it's bright,
Um,
it's natural
yeah.
light usually, and it's rather dark when we are in like the basement shots, right? Oh,
Yeah, yeah. It's very it's motivated light most of the time. It's
yeah,
very natural
yeah.
because sure, you're in the basement, you don't get that much sunlight.
Hmm.
But once you go out in the streets, once you climb the hill to the mansion,
Yeah.
to the yeah, to the quote unquote beacon of hope,
Hmm.
um, you get much more sunlight. You hope, uh, hope is restored.
Hmm.
One could say,
It's also just
and
another symbol of like status, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
and so what about the ending? What are your thoughts on the ending? Because I heard from many people that they found the ending rather pretentious and
What?
unnecessary.
What?
Yeah, because
I don't get that.
I'm
No,
sorry.
I totally don't get
Um,
this. No,
really?
I enjoyed the ending just as much. I thought it hit the nail just right. When he like
Yeah,
when it's like a dream, you know, because he writes this letter to his father, right? So to recap, basically like they get like a sentence, the daughter dies, and the father hides in the basement of the house, and because the son once went to that place again, he sees that the father is communicating to him using Morse code, and he about how his life has been, how he's mourning the death their of the daughter and everything. And when the son then just writes this letter, I don't know. It's just about how he wants to get rich, how he wants to like essentially free him, you know.
yeah,
And
sure, but
they're like, but then it's just all a dream, right? It's not actually
but isn't
happening.
that isn't that just a shortened version of what's happened before?
Okay, I would describe it as a very good summary, right?
Yeah, but you don't have to
You,
summarize the movie at the end. A movie stands on its own, so you don't have to summarize it
I mean, yes,
because
I just think it just accentuates it very much, you know, that it is
mm,
just this dream, you know, and
yeah,
it's
all
very
right,
crushing, right?
it's crushing.
He won't buy that house. He won't. Even Bon Joon-ho said that won't happen. And well, it's much more realistic. If we, although there were people that were like, okay, why doesn't he end it with the hug, right? But that would be like surreal, right? That wouldn't. That shouldn't be the message of the movie. That you just then kind of get that much
No,
money.
no.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think it's very
But
well
that
done.
would completely undermine the entire story
Exactly,
before.
right? So you shouldn't do that. And
Yeah.
putting it into a letter with like this kind of heartbreaking, bittersweet thing of his dream, how he wants to free his father by
Yeah.
becoming rich and everything, and then buying that house. I don't know. It's just it ends the movie quite nicely, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. So you're
Yeah, I can see where you're
yeah.
coming from,
Yeah,
but
I mean, I kind of get your issue as well. You're basically saying that the ending feels kind of repetitive, right? Or,
sort of. But frankly, the first time I watched it, I didn't really think much about the ending.
mm-hmm,
I found it quite neat, I guess.
mm-hmm,
Didn't think about it much more,
mm-hmm.
but upon second viewing, it really kind of is. Yeah, as you said, it's crushing, and
Of course, I
it's
guess,
just a retelling of what's happened before. And maybe for those who didn't get the movie's theme, it's just a way to basically catch up with it.
yeah.
a second chance if you haven't understand the I haven't understood the movie.
Yeah, the very, very subtle metaphors.
Yeah.
Nah.
But like aside from the less inconspicuous metaphors and details,
Hmm.
this movie is really almost perfect, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't even have any complaints really about it. I just wholeheartedly enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm,
I'm really glad that you finally
yeah.
did your deed and watched this goddamn movie.
Yeah, I took responsibility as a person who likes movies and finally did it.
Yeah.
Did the right thing.
Should we move on to Memories of Murder?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, there are also some links. I've recently like seen this video that comments about how it's prevalent in Bong Joon-ho's movies that he always depicts rather poor people, and I think, yeah, looking back, I never got that angle from Memories of Murder, but it does depict people in lower living conditions, right? Like in this rather rural area.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So yeah, let's move
But
on, I guess.
do you really see that many parallels between Parasite and
No,
Memories
that's
of Murder?
no, I didn't. I have like
Because one obvious parallel, perhaps is the like the ignorance of some of its characters. You have
ignorance. Okay.
the ignorance, like the characters being oblivious. In
Okay.
Parasite, that's the rich family, obviously,
Yeah, they're
and
naive.
in yeah, in Memories of Murders, the two detectives, they are just amateurs, and their method of um of working is kind of ignorant as well, and they're very
Mm.
naive. They're very naive, I would say.
I mean, yeah, their methods are unsound, of course, but I mean
Yeah,
that's why the other cop, like from the city, jumps in, right? So I mean, he was much more professional.
yeah, I liked his characters so much, man.
I
I
like.
really
I
liked
really
them.
liked his arc. Goddamn. Um, it's a much more linear movie and also a much more conventional story, I suppose. But it's still
Hmm.
very well done. I still, I would put Parasite over Memories of Murder. I think maybe it's because I just recently watched Parasite, but but I, both are really awesome movies, and if you haven't checked them out yet, you should really do that. Yeah.
And Memories of Murder feels much more intimate. It feels much more visual, I think,
Yeah, I
because
mean, you're
you have those two protagonists, and you spend the most of the time with them.
yeah. I mean, yeah, it's about this crime they're solving together. They have to work together. I mean, at the beginning they didn't get along very much. I mean, the cop from the city and then, you know, the cop from that village. But they slowly
Yeah,
get become friends and everything, and just the desperation and everything. You really root for them. Man, the
yeah. In the beginning, not really. I think
yeah, at the beginning
because
they're just kind of the police people from the village are really just kind of dumbasses.
they're assholes. They're
Yeah,
assholes.
I mean, the one is always like, okay, yeah, I can see if you're the criminal, just by looking at
Yeah,
you. And the other one, yeah,
it's just drop kicking people.
yeah. Talking about
That's
comedy,
funny.
that's also, I would say, Bon Joon-ho is pretty good at humor.
Yeah, he's a master of blending comedy and like elements of thrill
Yeah,
and
exactly.
sort of horror, because and uh, Memories of Murder did also have some like horror elements.
I mean it. I would put it on the same level as Seven. So I'm content with just calling it a thriller.
No, I wouldn't say. I mean, Seven is less of a horror flick. It's
Yeah, that's why I said that I would put them on the
but
same level, right?
you never in Seven you never see those murders committed on screen.
I mean, you
In
don't
Memories of Murders, their screen time is dedicated to some murders, and what I
see the act
find,
itself, though, right?
yeah,
You just see how the oh god, these shots. Okay, I wouldn't say they
yeah,
are.
disgusting.
It's creepy. It's really creepy. Like
Yeah,
in the
it's
fields when like this murder jumps out. That's creepy. I still
that's
wouldn't
fucking
call it a
creepy.
horror movie to me. It's just a thriller. But I mean, really, that's just I guess semantic difference here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I like how in the end, Memories of Murder kind of delves into more psychological territory.
Yeah. I mean,
With the suspect is really creepy as well. Like
he
he's very
is.
calm demeanor. Yeah,
But you're not
um,
really sure if he actually did it, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
But uh, for me, it's just this movie with the desperation, with how even the police chief from the police officer from the city crosses the line, when he wants to believe that the subject is actually the one who
is
committed
the
is the
killer.
killer. It's heartbreaking when he
It's
also like the payoff of seeing like the little girl murdered. God damn.
it's it's soul crushing,
It
and
is.
like once the detective from the city arrives and they kind of slowly but surely um find a way to work together,
Yeah.
you genuinely root for them, and you root for, in this case there's obviously good and evil.
Mm-hmm.
You
Kind of,
really
yeah.
root for the
So you have to
quote
ask
unquote good people.
you have to ask yourself how good the good people are, I guess.
Yeah, in the beginning it's again
They're shitheads,
not clear.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah. I
the
mean,
line is blurred,
hmm
but
I mean, this,
once they're on the right path, like
yeah,
it's a great arc as well, as you mentioned,
yeah,
for both characters.
yeah. Like the one in the village, he learns to be more professional, be more mature, I guess. Take
Yeah,
his job more seriously, and
especially
yeah.
when they fail.
hmm
Yeah, I mean they did fail.
They did fail a
They
lot.
yeah, yeah. No, but kind of the midpoint. I don't remember correctly if it was the midpoint, but
Which
when the
scene?
little girl
Yeah.
when the little girl is killed.
Oh God,
Uh
that's not the midpoint.
no, that's not the midpoint. Oh yeah, the midpoint where the girl is walking from the factory. Um, I think the scene took place on a field as well. Um, but the two detectives were on a wrong path because they suspected someone else to be killed
Oh, right, right.
wrongfully, and due to their naive nature, and um, the the consequence was that another victim was found,
hmm
and I think that moment just caused a click inside those characters,
Mm.
and they realized how severe their situation actually is, and that they cannot
Yeah.
work like
They
this
have to set aside their differences,
anymore.
right?
Yes,
Yeah.
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 And God, that ending is kind of almost, that ending should be more should be talked about more.
I agree. Yeah.
Uh, Wait,
I mean, yeah.
speaking of that ending,
Hmm.
doesn't the character in Parasite in the end look into the
Yeah,
camera
he
as
did.
well?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
That's funny, but in Memories of Murders, it has a more significant meaning, I think.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
in
consi- Considering that the murderer was never catched.
mhm,
Well, I think he was catched, but he wasn't catched when the
caught.
film came out. Oh, I'm sorry, caught. Oh my god, English.
It's been a
Yeah,
while.
yeah, it's been a while. He wasn't caught when the film came out,
Uh,
so
yeah.
it
I
had a
don't know.
stronger meaning.
Mm.
Uh,
I mean, it.
because looking into the camera is like breaking the fourth wall, or at least kind of cracking the fourth wall.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, it's also very creative to just. I mean,
yeah,
they established like
yeah.
they established that he thinks he has this ability to like, as I said,
Oh yeah,
this
yeah.
see who is like the killer and who is innocent, right? And then he tries to, as he realized that the culprit of like the murder probably visited the same place as he does. He then looks for the murder in the audience. It's really a great shot. Yeah, I agree. It should be
It's
more taught. It should be talked about more.
And the funny thing is, imagine that the actual murderer
Oh my
watched the film.
goodness. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Do you think Bong Joon-ho had this very intention in mind, or is he simply saying that okay, the murderer's out there, uh, anyone could have done it, in that sense?
I think it just shows that, well, even after all these years, it's still, an open case. And even for the characters, though they have moved on with their lives, um, that, this detective just tries that only shows for me that, well, it's still not necessarily scarred him, but, it is still something he, he cares about, essentially, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. Man, Memories of Murder is a old movie. It came out in 2003, right?
Yeah,
Like
I
around
think something like that.
2003.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, aesthetically, it looks old as well.
Yeah,
But
it looks more 90s. It looks more 90s. It looks
it
like,
looks,
uh,
yeah,
I mean, not stylistically, but I guess if talking about in which era,
yeah,
it looks a bit like, uh, you know, the Chunking Express in terms of not in terms of style, but like, uh, maybe in which era it plays. But I mean, the film technically plays in like the 80s, right? That's where,
yeah. And it's
so
called Memories of Murder.
so
So,
it makes sense.
yeah,
Makes
visually,
sense.
yeah, it's fitting.
It's fitting. I
Um,
mean, it's talking about cinematography. There's also just it's really dark sometimes, like the scenes where they're outside.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it
the
this
tone shifts pretty frequently,
that as well. Yeah.
but as it does in Parasite, but
Hmm.
very like not necessarily jarring.
Yeah, it's not
It's not
jarring.
necessarily jarring. Yeah.
Yeah, it handles its elements very tastefully.
Yeah,
That.
tastefully is a very good word.
Hmm.
Just describe the tone shifts.
Hmm.
Um but we have to do an episode on Chunking Express because you are a big fan of that film.
I think you
And
as well, right? Oh,
uh
which is okay. What's your favorite Wong Kar-wai film?
Wonka, I mean I've only seen two. I really want to see Fallen Angels.
Yeah, I haven't seen that as well.
Yeah, but like between In the Mood for Love and Chunking Express, I would side with In the Mood for Love
Okay, I think I'm more on the
because
Chunking Express side of things.
okay.
Yeah, maybe we need to we just watch those two movies again, and then we can talk about
We
them.
have to. We
Yeah,
have to.
it's our
Um,
duty.
it's really our duty. But I think In the Mood for Love is. I feel like Chunking Express just um attempts to be like this stylistic, almost painting.
Hmm.
It really tries hard to be abstract, to be enigmatic, while In the Mood for Love does this so naturally, like and naturally and effortlessly. And I feel like it's way more self contained, narratively speaking. Chunking Express is it has like two main storylines,
Hmm.
and they're like interwoven.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
And
it's In the Mood for Love is the more refined film of the two,
yeah,
but I
and I
still
feel
enjoyed
like
the pure energy of like Chungking Express, I guess, or like
yeah,
the you know pure creativity and things and the shots. I don't know. Yeah, we need an episode
then
to
we
do on
really
that.
yeah, and we really need to rewatch those two films again.
And what's the other ones? From Wong
Yeah.
Kar-wai as well.
Um,
Yeah.
any closing thoughts? Maybe we've been talking again for almost 1.5 hours, which is great, which is very great.
Yeah, I mean, it's a podcast after all, so I guess that's
Yeah,
very much on the better
but
side
I
of
mean,
things.
it's our second podcast,
Yeah.
and um, uh,
There's
I can imagine that it's pretty hard for many people to talk that long.
maybe. I think if you're comfortable talking and if you do have an opinion on something, then I don't know. For me, it's not that hard. If
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, and we also know each other fairly well, so that also plays a role, right? We are not
Yeah, and
strangers.
and our interests mostly overlap. So,
Yeah, they align.
um, closing thoughts on any of these three movies?
Um, I, Taxi Driver's overhyped. Watch more Asian movies; they're great. I'm joking,
Okay,
but
that was pretty straightforward.
I was okay. I was partially joking. I do think. I mean, I still appreciate Taxi Driver for what it is. I just didn't enjoy it, as I said. But
Hmm.
yeah, like some of the voices in Asia, they're great. I really want to watch more of these films. I talked about my friend about that as well, like how like they approach things differently and are sometimes to an extent more daring, like Asian movie
Way
directors.
more daring, but
Yeah.
you have to keep in mind that if you shoot a film in the West, you always have sort of pressure.
Yeah, it
You
is
have
a lot
always
of
pressure
pressure.
on you.
Exactly.
Uh,
And yeah, I mean, it's not like I'm necessarily saying one is better than the other. It's
mm-hmm.
just like it's been a while since I've seen something this refreshing.
It's a breeze of fresh air,
It
I
is,
guess.
yeah. Even though it is about a tale that is as old as time with like class
Oh
and
my god.
everything, but it still
Yeah.
has like this new fresh take on it. It's great. And same with Memories of Murder. I mean, it's essentially just like a crime thriller. And it's very innovative. As you said, you think it also has some horror elements to it, and we both agree that it has some comedic elements as
Yeah.
well. And I just think from these directors we can definitely appreciate more things. Also more
And
also more on the I guess anime side of things. There's Satoshi Kon, and oh
oh
man,
yeah.
I love his movies.
Wow.
I mean, I guess I'm kind of naming all of the big ones that every cinematic cinephile knows of. But
Did you mute
yeah,
yourself again, Michael?
did I?
I don't know. You like cut off again.
Oh, maybe I was too far off the mic. I don't know. Where was I cut off?
Satoshi Kon.
Okay, so okay, I might be just naming names that already anybody knows who is a cinephile, but I do wish that more people in the broader public would know of these people.
No, please, I wouldn't say so because
Oh, you
I
want to
think
keep it for yourself?
yeah, come on, man.
I guess I can
Because
understand that.
you
Yeah.
know how many films are or how many songs in
Mhm.
particular are basically diminished. Their meaning and their excellence uh, are diminished by popularity. It's mind-boggling, and it's really sad.
I mean, okay, I kind of agree with that with Star Wars, I suppose.
Yeah, and
And
for instance, Satoshi Kon is sort of a niche director.
yeah, it's definitely not something for everyone. I mean,
Yeah,
have you seen any of his films, actually?
I've seen Bl-
Perfect Blue?
uh, Perfect Blue. Yeah, I
Oh,
wanted to say
that's.
Blue Velvet, but yeah, Perfect Blue was wow
I,
creepy. As his style of like drawing is really, I don't know if it's intentionally creepy, but I find his characters really grotesque.
I can understand it,
Uh,
yeah. It doesn't feel as cutesy as anime characters are drawn today.
yeah,
Like the conventional style, yeah.
and on that front, he's also kind of an avant-garde um, animator, I guess, or a director.
Hmm.
He's daring. He's daring.
Yeah, he's a daring
Um,
one. And I think that's just like a common trend with some of these directors coming from Asia. And that's
yeah.
why we, uh, I wish there was more, they were more known, I guess. Some of them at least.
He also kind of explores the boundaries, or he exceeds the boundaries of what we know as animation.
Yeah, that's
Because,
true.
for instance, in Perfect Blue, like animation just opens the door to so many ideas and
Hmm.
concepts,
Yeah.
and he just perfectly utilizes them and takes advantage of these chances.
Hmm.
And his film, was it Paprika? Yeah, we've talked about it, or we've touched on it
Yeah.
very briefly in our last episode.
Yeah, I mentioned
And
how Paprika is basically like the more creative version of Inception, I think.
I wouldn't necessarily say more creative, but it definitely paved the way for Inception.
Yeah, I think it came
Inception
first.
was
Yeah, yeah.
Inception was a beast on its own, but it
Yes.
had just like this element. It kind of expanded, perhaps. It kind of expanded the concept of Paprika. I don't know. I've never seen Paprika. I just
I
know
don't
that.
know if I could agree with that.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay,
I mean,
yeah.
it
Uh,
fits Nolan's style. I would say that much. So,
okay.
yeah.
But like Studio Ghibli as well. Maybe Studio Ghibli is kind of more conventional.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
they are very much not anime-esque, you know.
yeah.
Yeah, like anybody could watch it. Normies. But yeah.
um,
Not to say that they're bad, they're really good. I do enjoy me some Ghibli movies. Oh yeah, yeah, I do.
so yeah, Taxi Driver's overrated, and go watch more Asian films, I guess.
Don't take it too seriously. Yeah,
Uh,
maybe just a bit.
uh, but yeah, sure, definitely we should watch more Asian films.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Asian films nowadays aren't that of high quality as they were couple of
Parasite,
decades
Parasite,
ago.
Parasite.
Oh
Well, that's
yeah,
yeah,
aside from Parasite, I mean, if you like, for instance, if you look at Chinese films nowadays
I mean, yeah, of
and
course you
compare
have to dig a
them,
bit, I guess. I
yeah,
mean, there are just quite some gems, right?
yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen Oldboy yet. To talk about
Wow.
old gems that are still missing.
Okay, you haven't seen Old Boy.
Oh my fucking god! I think I just
Did,
exposed myself.
did then that's not That's not a problem at all because I have the DVD to Old Boy.
All
Um,
right.
I'll I'll give it to you when we see each other next time.
Nice. I mean, technically, we could
Uh,
see it together.
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I need a rewatch as well probably.
Mhm.
Because frankly, Old Boy didn't really speak to me in the beginning.
Okay.
But
Oh,
it's yeah.
a
Um,
dissenting opinion.
and have you seen I Saw the Devil? I think Chris Stuckman did a review
I
of the
saw the
film
devil.
lately. It's a
Um,
Korean film.
it's is it by the same director? I mean, I didn't see it either way, but just asking.
I'm not sure, but the same actor who plays Old Boy, the protagonist in Old
The
Boy,
old boy.
is also found in this film. He plays the antagonist.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah. Oh, we haven't even mentioned that
Uh,
like the father of the Kim family is also like the detective,
the
right?
protagonist,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, he doesn't age, right? Because honestly,
He
um,
does look very similar to
yeah, he looks
yeah.
so similar. I would even go as far as to say he looks younger.
Whew. Maybe because he's rich. To like yeah. Yeah, that
Wow,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's something we didn't touch upon. Like how like the behavior of the like how the behavior correlates to basically their status. This concept of like they're only they're only nice because they're rich, because they have everything handed to them, because they are in this gated community with basically yes sayers. But I guess this episode is already long.
So they're rich because no,
They are nice
I think
because they're rich. That was the
rich or
message of
they're
the
rich because they're nice.
no, it was nice because they're
Yeah,
rich. That's what the mother
prior,
said.
yeah, but prior to this, I think the husband
Yeah,
says
right.
they're nice because they're
Despite
rich. No, what? Oh yeah,
the
despite. All
despite
right,
they're
yeah,
rich, right? So that they're still nice people even though they have that much power. But then the mother said that yeah, that they are nice because of how much power and well social status, how high their social status is. That's because that's why they are that nice, right? Yeah, I just think that
yeah. I
also hits
mean,
home.
yeah, there are a lot of factors that basically sway your personality.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
And yeah,
it's intricate. It's intricate,
yeah,
very much.
it's not a dumbed down critique of capitalism. It's very much probably one of the finest you find out there. Definitely go see it.
It's so tasteful.
It is. It was a delight to
Yeah.
watch. Yeah.
So, I suppose 5 out of 5.
I did give it a 5 out of 5, right? And I gave
Yeah,
Memories of Murder a 4.5 out of 5, I think. Because I do my
that's
point fives, unlike you.
yeah. um, should we end this talk? Let's end this talk.
Okay. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you
Yeah,
enjoyed our podcast where we just praise Parasite.
we actually yeah
Yeah,
praise Parasite and make and deviate from our main topics
a bit. But you know, that's a fun thing, right?
constantly, but that's really fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
it really is.
yeah. Imagine you had to like put timestamps in the description, right? every
Oh my
every
god,
five
rip.
minutes, right? Or every 2 minutes, like, okay, that's what they're talking about right now.
No, it would be like this: Parasite, something else, something else, something else, Parasite,
Hmm.
something else, back to Parasite.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean
structure is our. Uh,
we're just as intricate, that's what you're saying.
yeah, man,
That's cool. We are not
it's
like
all planned.
we're not like the other podcasts.
True, man.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. All right, then see you next time, I guess.
Yeah. Hope you had fun. Leave a like.
Michael, are you muted again?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. See you next time.
Yeah. Bye.